He squeezed the U.S. by tightening the export controls on rare earth minerals.
He did, and I raised our tariffs to 100% on top of what they're already paying, which is far worse, far worse. We'll see what happens with China. I've always had a great relationship with him, as you know, but they're always looking for an edge.
If you put that 100% tariff on top of what's in place already, you're talking about 157% tariff on China. Can that stand?
No.
I mean, what is that going to do to the economy?
It's not sustainable, but that's what the number is. It's probably not, it could stand, but they forced me to do that. I think we're going to do fine with China. I get along great with him. He's a very strong leader, a very, amazing man. I think we're going to be fine with China, but we have to have a fair deal. It's got to be fair. And you cover it as well as anybody that's ever covered this subject.
And that's President Trump with me yesterday telling me 157% tariff on China is not sustainable as he prepares to meet with Xi Jinping at the end of the month, October 31st. Soybean farmers, meanwhile, saying that drought, high costs, and China's pause on buying U.S. imports are pushing this year's harvest into the red. Even as domestic demand grows, China is typically the dominant foreign buyer of U.S. soybeans, purchasing about half of exports last year, but not so recently. Joining me now is Arkansas Lieutenant Governor Leslie Rutledge. Governor, it's good to see you. You and your husband, you are a grower and a harvester of soybeans. You are backing the president's stance on this. Tell us what you have experienced as a result.
Well, thanks so much, Maria, for having me on. President Trump's right. China's refusal to buy American soybeans is nothing short of an economically hostile act. And that's why we want him to look for solutions. And that solution could come in the form of biodiesel. America's already importing used cooking oil from China that we could be producing right here in America. We have American soybeans sitting in storage while we are buying used cooking oil from China at an astronomical rate. And that's why we're supporting President Trump, because he's got a play on China, and China's been playing the long game, and America is now playing the long game.
So what kind of an impact has this had on your business? And do you think the president saying, look, I'm considering terminating all business with China, which is what he posted last week, because of their refusal to keep the promise of buying the soybeans. Tell us how it affected your business.
Well, what's affected our business are not only the weather, the high cost of producing our crop, the low commodity prices, but also Joe Biden's policies. Under Joe Biden, from 2022 to 2024, America went from being a used cooking oil exporter to used cooking oil importer, to the tune of we're getting 58% of that from China. Again, these are something that we could be producing right here in the United States. We actually already are, Maria, and that's what's so frustrating. We went from exporting 400 million metric tons of used cooking oil in 2022 to importing anywhere from 800 million metric tons to 1.2 billion metric tons of used cooking oil. We need to have the tax incentives increased to produce that biodiesel right here in America using American soybeans, just like we did with corn and ethanol. 1/3 of our corn crop goes to ethanol. This will extend the life of our refineries in America, because using that blend, giving those tax credits, President Trump has the solution, and the solution does not involve padding the pockets of communist China. If they don't want to buy our soybeans, fine. We'll use our soybeans right here and make our own biodiesel and stop buying their used cooking oil.
So you think that there's a lot that people are missing about what's on the surface, that China's just not buying the soybeans?
That's correct, because China has been investing heavily in the infrastructure of Brazil through building roads, bridges. They've been doing that for the last 15 years, since 2009. And the play is for China to eliminate the need to buy American soybeans at all. They're using this tariff as an excuse, when in fact, behind the scenes for the last 15 years, they've been wiping out the trees, the rainforest in Brazil, putting in the infrastructure, so they don't even need to buy our soybeans. So we need to say, fine, we're going to put in more crushing plants in America. We're going to crush more soybeans. We're going to make our own used cooking oil, our own biodiesel. And thanks, China, we don't need you for this product.
All right. Governor, let me move on and ask you about what you recently announced, your re-election campaign. You're entering the final quarter with nearly $750,000 in cash on hand. The primary election on March 3rd of next year. What are you thinking about going into that?
Well, we're feeling great about it. Arkansans have been very responsive. They love what we're doing to protect Arkansas's economy, our criminal justice, safety, security, education. My longtime friend, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, is governor. Collectively, Maria, Sarah, and I are the first independently elected female governor and female lieutenant governor to ever serve together in the history of the country. We're friends for a long time. We're getting things done. And that's what Arkansans like. They like to see people tough on crime, making sure every kid has the opportunity in the state to grow and succeed. And Governor Sanders' leadership, and I'm working alongside with her to put those policies in place.
And by the way, the governor was very clear on China as well. I mean, Sarah Sanders knew earlier than others that no, it should not be okay for our #1 adversary to buy farmland in Arkansas.
That's right. You know, Governor Sanders was quick to say, and we passed a law in Arkansas, and we kicked Communist China off the farmland in Arkansas. That happened in northeast Arkansas, not too far from where my husband and I farm. And we are very proud of Governor Sanders' strong stance. I have stood behind her every step of the way that we cannot allow Communist China to buy American farmland. We kicked them off in Arkansas. We want other states to follow suit.
All right, we will leave it there. We'll be watching your work, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you. Leslie Rutledge
Maria.
joining us this morning in Arkansas.